Hi, my name is Phil Anderson, and I'm running for United States Senate to represent Wisconsin. I'd like to talk to you tonight about something very important, not like the other topics have not been important. But you might not be aware of this, and I wasn't aware of it until today, but last week in Atlantic City, New Jersey, a veteran lit himself on fire and died right in front of a closed Veterans Administration mental health clinic. He got there after they were closed. I mean, he was there after it was closed. The clinic was not open. He was on the lawn, poured gasoline on himself, and lit himself on fire and died. Now, I'm not saying that to specifically suggest that any likelihood as to the care he was receiving. He was mentally ill in some way, shape, or form. We're not sure what. He didn't leave a note behind. He didn't say, I'm going to go kill myself because I'm getting crappy care from the VA or whatever. We don't really know. But it's also entirely likely that he wasn't being treated well at the VA, or that at the time that he really needed help, they weren't open and there for him. Now, I could speak to the VA myself. I served in the United States Army from 1985 to 1988 as a combat medic, and I had need of VA coverage that I had earned back in 1998 when I was suffering from emergency bleeding from an ulcer. And I wasn't given the best care at the VA facility here in Madison. I ended up back in the emergency room a few years later with the same problem because they hadn't resolved it correctly the first time, despite my cooperation. Again, that's not my experience, nor this veteran burning himself to death in Atlantic City last week are not necessarily indicative of the fact that the VA system is entirely rotten. But I think it is. I think there's a big problem with it for two reasons. Number one, it is a single-payer system, and people that are dependent on their VA benefits feel like, whether it's true or not in any specific case, that's where they go for their care. And they don't look around. They figure, if I got VA benefits, that's what I'm going to go take advantage of. And often they don't get the best care in the world. We had a scandal here in Wisconsin where painkillers were being overprescribed. It was covered up with the assistance of, I think this is correct, with some assistance from Senator Tammy Baldwin's office, but I don't remember if that's exactly right or not. But that's what I seem to remember is happening. But nonetheless, the VA system has had a lot of problems because there's not an opt-out for that. People that depend on it the most, especially those people that are mentally ill and maybe not holding a job very well because of that mental illness, because of their service in the military, are then even more dependent on the VA and less well served by virtue of the fact that there's not competition there. They have to go to this specific place. The other problem I have is that we shouldn't be confining these veterans to a single-payer system in the first place. Now, obviously, as a libertarian, I'm not for big government. But we've made a promise to veterans. We made a promise that when they signed up, that we would take care of them, not only during their time in the service, but after. And that's a promise that we have to keep. And consigning them to a single-payer system that's riddled with problems and doesn't do a good job generally, certainly not as good as private sector hospitals, is not keeping our promise. What we should be doing is those veterans who served should be given vouchers that allow them to go see whoever they need to, whenever they need to. We'll deal with the cost as we deal with the cost, but the promise should be kept to them that we will take care of them as best as we can. And having a VA system that's single payer and riddled with controversy and problems is not the way to take care of our veterans. So as your senator, I will advocate for, first of all, respecting veteran service by not sending them places unless we are really, really in danger. So we wouldn't have veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan with PTSD and all these various problems, injuries, etc., because we wouldn't be sending them there in the first place. And other places in the world where we've sent troops, Libya, other places, we wouldn't be there, so we'd have a lot fewer people that are suffering because of their service in the military. But second of all, in those times where we do have to go and fight, where it's absolutely necessary, where the United States is being threatened on our own territory, our own citizens, whatever, that we made a promise to people that are serving, and we should keep that and give them the best health care that we can manage. And that is not the VA hospital or the VA system. That is allowing them to take advantage of the best that our free market system has available, to go to good hospitals, to shop around for good care and doctors and nurses who they can have a good relationship with, that can help take care of them, especially in the case of mental health, because that's very, very important to have a good relationship with your caregivers when you're mentally suffering from mental illness. But in any case, where they are treated to the best care that we can manage, and not this system that's old, single payer, riddled with problems, inefficiencies, and controversy. That's what I'll do as your senator. I will make it right. Thanks, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.